Exposed my upstairs neighbor's bizarre dirt rituals after their patio destruction threatened to bury me alive. Now they're stalking me. I, F28, have lived in the same apartment for 4 years. My neighbors in the unit above me are a couple in their 30s who have lived there for about 3 years with no issues between us. During the past 6 months, I've noticed some changes in their behaviors. At first it was just a few days per week, I'd hear music with heavy bass accompanied by rhythmic jumping. I assumed they bought an exercise bike or something, but sometimes the jumping gets so intense that it shakes my overhead light fixtures. The jumping routine has been escalating to the point that it takes place every day, normally between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. I also noticed that they called 1-800-JUNK and got rid of a lot of nice possessions. However, I figured none of this was my business, so I kept my observations to myself. About 3 weeks ago, everything escalated. Multiple times per week, on weekdays and during working hours, it sounds like they're hosting a mini Burning Man event in their apartment. The music is so loud and clear that it sounds as if I'm at a concert while sitting in my living room. There's clearly a lot of people involved because the jumping, stomping shakes multiple light fixtures and cabinets. The music is a mix of new age, spiritual vibes, dance beats, and a male voiceover giving weird instructions like, rebrand yourself, surrender yourself, stomp stomp in response. I've taken audio recordings on my phone and one video from the hallway during these events. I still didn't complain to the building, but I wanted evidence in case it became a regular thing. This week, I've encountered a big problem. The couple above me has a private patio, which is directly above my bedroom. I came home from a 3-day trip out of town yesterday and my ceiling is legitimately collapsing in one corner. Big chunks of plaster had fallen to the ground, and I saw a little water. I immediately called my superintendent since I don't want to be buried alive by ceiling rubble if it gives out. When he came to check it out, he was shocked and pissed. He said that the woman in the couple appears to be working with some people doing workshops or something. He can see their patio from his apartment window and has watched the group do these dancing plus jumping plus dirt rituals out there on a weekly basis. He said they all dance and jump to the music, and then spread dirt, along with something else, he doesn't know what it is, across the patio on a weekly basis. He believes that the dirt plus unknown substance combo is getting through the wooden cracks, absorbing water, and weighing down my ceiling. In order to fix the problem, my super said he had to go talk to the woman, check out their patio, and ultimately hire a contractor to pull up the wood to scrape out whatever the hell is causing my ceiling to fall. I could hear them talking from my room, and the woman sounded distraught and defensive. When my super left, he called me and warned me that she might try to come down to my apartment and demand to see the damage, but don't let her in. This was a little concerning to me. Is she a threat? The damage is real, I wouldn't mind showing her. She started playing her music again relatively loud, kind of like a warning shot. I mentioned the music, jumping to the super and said I had audio recordings. He started begging me to send the evidence to the front office. It sounds like he wants them evicted. I said okay sure, I hate to be a rat, but if I have to choose sides, I'll side with the building that dictates my annual rent price. He called me twice more that afternoon to confirm that I shared my evidence and I said yes. Shortly after everything went down, I left my apartment to run an errand. The woman was outside just standing on the sidewalk and stared at me the whole time as I walked by. I ignored her. This isn't my fault. Now today, I went to run another quick errand in the neighborhood. When I returned, the couple was again standing on the sidewalk. Both of them this time followed me into the building, and then waited until I was opening my apartment door to confront me. They were both wearing creepy fake smiles. The woman has horse girl hair down to her waist, and started interrogating me. They asked, is your ceiling really collapsing? When did it start? Do you think it was related to the recent rainfall? Because our patio is just fine. I was a little uncomfortable. Were they waiting for me outside? How did they know I even left the building? Why were they both standing there? I've literally never seen them enter together in their 3 years of living here. But I have nothing to hide, so I confirmed the damage is pretty bad. I just don't want it to fall. During the winter, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but hopefully the work will be done quickly for everyone's sake. They seemed satisfied enough, so I said have a good day and shut my door. I'm getting the sense that they're nervous about what the contractors will find when they tear open their patio. What the FCK is up with dirt rituals? Who are these people she's working with? I don't know what they look like, or why they're available to stomp around on weekdays. The repair work has started on both sides, but the contractors will come on Wednesday for the grand reveal of what's under the patio that's making my ceiling collapse. In the meantime, I feel like I need to be alert and keep my eyes out for these people, as well as the couple. It's unusual for me to see them in general, especially twice in 2 days. Update 1. The contractors came today and reported that there was, in fact, dirt and sludge visible below the neighbor's patio. However, thanks to the help of my internet sleuthing friend, I've gained a lot more insight into the realm that dwells above me. As one Redditor suggested, nice work, my neighbor is affiliated with multiple ecstatic dance communities, both international and local. The international group has planned events during which all cells of the organization host dance sessions simultaneously. It also has a YouTube channel that streams psytrance music 24/7. I listened to a portion of it and a female voiceover declared, "You are becoming the game master." Meanwhile, the local groups seem to be more exclusive and more radical in their mindset. One of the local groups, hosted by my neighbor's good friend, conducts 3-day events that cost upwards of $400 for admission. Participation in all 3 days is mandatory. I get the impression they all sleep in the studio space, and the event description mentions that it begins with a ritual. The last, and darkest, affiliation that I've confirmed via social media footprints is that my neighbor and a few members of the local communities are also involved with some compassionate death groups. There's no way for me to verify at this time if these affiliations overlap in a meaningful way, so I will simply state the facts that I have evidence to prove. My super asked me about the jumping again when I saw him today. He remains eager to act. He agreed with my new game plan to wait for another large event to happen, and then call him to check on my dishwasher so he can intervene. So for now, the ways in which the puzzle pieces of ecstatic dance, compassionate death, patio dirt rituals, and ceiling collapse connect will remain a mystery. Update 2. While the contractors will be arriving at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow to start the patio upheaval process, I have a few updates to share since I last posted 4 days ago. As for the people, I think I've identified one member of the group. On Saturday, I heard the music at an ambient level, mostly just bass, not loud enough to launch a complaint, as well as increased foot traffic in the stairwell. Since it was a weekend, these observations alone could be a coincidence. I was in my apartment until late afternoon when I left to meet up with friends. My BF has been staying with me so I don't have to enter or exit the building alone. As we went down the stairs, I saw a man outside, standing directly in front of the building's door. My building is next to a few establishments, including a coffee shop, so it's common for people to accidentally stand in front of the doorway without realizing that it's an apartment building. But every time I open the door behind someone in my path, the other person's reaction is inevitably the exact same: turn, quick moment of recognition, then move far out of the way. Not this guy. He was giving bouncer energy with a wide stance, clad in a black cutoff t-shirt, sunglasses, and a black baseball cap. He also had a well-groomed mustache, but that was the only identifiable feature about him. He was looking at his phone when I opened the door, but when he turned around, he looked at me, sidestepped just enough for me plus my BF to pass, returned to his position, and then started texting while looking at us as we got into an Uber. My BF agreed that his demeanor was odd, and his doorway stance was like someone waiting to get into the building, or new people inside. He could have caught the door to go in when I was leaving though. People do that sometimes. After this encounter, along with the fact that I heard more people come into the building that day, a potential theory is that the group wanted to know when I would be out of my apartment so they could do their jumping routines without interruption. I think I saw the same man the following day, but he was sitting on the bench next to my building's front door instead of standing. I'm also not 100% sure it was him because he wasn't wearing the baseball cap, balding head underneath, and sat hunched over his phone so I couldn't see his face well. But I did notice the well-groomed mustache. Now for the final clues of interest. I'm Instagram friends with the person who lives on the 3rd floor of my building. She looks a little older than me, mid-30s, but we have similar energy, lifestyles. Unlike me, she is a big Burning Man person. Not sure if the couple actually went, their music just reminded me of it, so there was a small chance that I'm living in a Rosemary's Baby scenario. I decided to message her on Sunday to find out if she knew anything. She said she was sorry about my ceiling, confirmed that she's heard the loud music a few random times inside and agreed the dirt spreading sounded bizarre. She hadn't witnessed anything. She doesn't seem like the investigative type lol, but she did send me a short video with her view of their patio. While the patio's appearance was nondescript to an average viewer, there were a few strange things that stood out to me. On the day my super chipped off all my unstable ceiling plaster, Friday, I also heard a power drill and potentially a saw at work on the patio overhead. Of course, I assumed some preliminary work was taking place to prepare for the contractors, so I didn't think anything of it. In the Sunday video, there were a lot of plants all around the perimeter of the patio. The center of the patio was empty, no objects, while a wicker couch was positioned in the corner directly above my damaged site. Why this is weird. First, I used to be able to see an outdoor dining table plus at least 4 plastic chairs in the center area. Maybe they got rid of these when they called 1-800-JUNK. Second, plants would potentially explain some of the dirt, but why was there a couch atop the area with ceiling collapse instead of plants? The couch was likely moved to that spot recently since it was, allegedly, rainfall that caused the water damage overload. A wicker couch would have shielded that entire area from excess water. Third, like I said, I swear I heard a power drill and saw on Friday afternoon, but from the video, all the wood planks looked intact. In fact, the entire patio looked undisturbed despite the fact that contractors are coming and will need a clear space. So, is it possible that they got a head start with work in the water damage area, and then covered up the opening with the couch? Maybe they wanted to clear some of the evidence.
I haven't heard any sounds of moving objects, i.e., plants, couch, since I saw the video on Sunday, so I'm wondering what their game plan is for the contractors.
I would expect them to at least move the plants, and the couch will ultimately have to move since my super said they'll be tearing up the entire deck to make sure my ceiling is safe again. I'll post a second, shorter, update tomorrow evening or Thursday morning after more information comes out. Update 3. On Monday, my super came to replaster my bedroom ceiling. First, he He said that my neighbor told the contractor she has a lot of plants because she makes bush medicines. She's also told him that dancing is a part of her professional practice as a healer for people who are in bereavement after the loss of a loved one. So my friend and I weren't far off when we made the connection between her ecstatic dance and compassionate death affiliations. I showed him new cracks in my living room ceiling that are growing in size and number by the day. He told me to send videos of the cracks to building management, but management suggested I start with a handwritten note by their door explaining how their behaviors are wreaking havoc on my life. Since the super was working in my apartment, my neighbor was actively bumping music plus jumping. I wrote a note in which I requested she reduce the volume of her music and be mindful of the intensity of her activities. I explained that the jumping or dancing was causing significant new cracks in my living room ceiling, and I offered for her to speak with me directly if needed. While I was reluctant to suggest this, I knew she might try another stalking trick if I didn't give her the option up front. So, I sent the note. After 90 minutes, my super said he had to leave for an hour while the plaster dried, but he would be back soon. Of course, my neighbor chose the end of this time frame to come down, when I was alone. When I opened the door, she again had the biggest fake smile and said, "Hi," then waved the note. "First of all," she said, "I want to thank you for your open communication. That is so important and so rare in our city." Fake flattery. She admitted that she dances, which she has to do for her mental health. But she claimed that she only dances in the mornings for 30 to 60 minutes, 90 minutes max. I knew she was lying, so I said that her actions are affecting my mental health. She followed up with a range of excuses, including that they have been in the process of rearranging furniture, unpacking boxes, and they sometimes watch movies in the evening with their loudspeakers. I showed her the cracks that were immediately visible from the doorway area. She pointed to one and said, "See, we used to have one table over there, but now we have two due to the furniture rearranging. So maybe that's the reason? We also have cracks in our ceiling and, we all have to share this space." I asked her about hosting any large events in the past month, which she flat out denied. She briefly mentioned that she does sessions, but didn't elaborate further.